live sound check. All right, good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Kenny Boyd Macwash, Stanley Bear, Southern Tribe Fishing Lake First Nation, Saskatchewan, Canada, Treaty, Fort Territory, Anishinaabe Bay. 60 scoop survivor, published author, United States Swimming National Champion. And welcome to We Are the Medicine Circle, which really implies that we are the medicine circle. It really takes me off the hook. So I'm not in charge here. I am in the service of the Great Spirit, and I'm in the service of the circle. And this is exactly what this circle looks like right here. This is who we are, what we are, and this is really how we're doing it right here, intertwined and overlapping. And I'm right here, and you're over here, and everybody else is up here. And so yeah, that's just really kind of simple as it gets. And once again, really honored to be sitting here with you today. It's a privilege for me to be of service to the circle. We are coming to you live from East Germany. I am doing my European tour here, and really having a good time. Some really beautiful and powerful people here. Got to sit in some really beautiful circles, and actually this morning we have a live audience here. So over here, there's a live audience, and she does not want to be acknowledged right now because she's like, no. So, so if you hear anything in the background, that's her. And so yeah. And so one of the most important things that we say every day, like how we start off, is I love you, and that's really important, and that we enter into that beautiful place. It's a spiritual agreement, and the colonial world. And this is a comment from yesterday, just like, what do you mean by that? Which is normal, right? But it means that I want you to live your very best life. Find your very best, your very very best life, the very best version of you, connected to all those things that give us life, like air, water, fire, earth, right? Those are the things that bring us life. And when we're not connected to those things, then it's really hard to find this place called love, right? It's really hard. In fact, it's impossible without it. That's the spiritual agreement. That's what love says. That's what love is. That's what love says, and that's how we're supposed to walk. So it is a spiritual agreement, but it's not only between what we would say two people, or a person and a puppy, or a cat. No. That's like the really small version. The larger version is, hey, I just want you to live a really beautiful, happy life, and I want everything for you and nothing from you. And so the reciprocal is standing there, and that we love you too. And so that creates that beautiful full circle that really, and when we live in full circle, that creates life, right? Give life. So when we enter into, again, love, we enter into that beautiful agreement that, hey, look, I'm going to celebrate my life by celebrating yours, right? And that's how we find these beautiful things, right? So anyway, if no one said that they love you today, I love you very much. And so okay, so couple of house announcements here. So if you see me looking back and forth, there was a minor miracle that happened uh, yesterday. I dropped my phone in a river in Austria when I was up there, and I thought I'd lost it. It was a raging like thing, and then a friend of mine went down there and just plucked it out like 30 seconds later, and so it still worked, but it wouldn't charge right, and so. Like every other day, I would kind of charge it and see if charge it, and it was just like it just wasn't working, and I was beginning to say my goodbyes to my phone, uh, and so yesterday I plugged it in and it charged fully. So anyway, I said that to say this: we are coming off two platforms now. So over there is YouTube. So if you see me looking back and forth, that's what I'm doing. I am not distracted. That's what. So the YouTube channel is Standing Bear, the author YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe for there. It is a library of everything that we've done here. So Facebook won't allow me to archive. So what we do is you can go over there to Standing Bear, the author, and just scroll through, put the days and the dates on it and everything. So please enjoy that. That's something that you had asked for too. It's like, well, where can we find this stuff? And so that's what we created too. And also, a couple other people asked me if local people here can go live, and so you're welcome to come here in our live studio audience. You want to introduce yourself? No, she doesn't want to. She's all shy. She's all shy. So anyway, no. We love her. We love her. We're grateful. We are grateful, and so let us begin in the a good and beautiful way. Let us begin with a little smudge this morning, as always, and let us be reminded, of the children of the residential school. If you don't know here, there's a lot of Europeans that don't know, but what happened in the lower 48 and up in the provinces in Canada is that a Catholic church murdered our relatives, the children, and our Indigenous children that were forced to go to Catholic residential schools, and then they were murdered. They disappeared. They did all this stuff. So we take a little time, and now they are being returned home. So they're finding these mass graves, and now they are returned home. So we want to keep them and their family members in our prayers. It's really important, that we do that. Also, we love to acknowledge there's a beautiful grandmother out in. Actually, she texted me yesterday, so it's been a while. It's a couple months since I heard from her, but she checks in the feed here, and she'll pop in every now and then. It's like, when the grandmothers kind of check in on you, you feel like, oh, that's like cool, right? So she checked on me yesterday. It's like, how's it going? And we just had a little thing. So she was the one that suggested. When the grandmother suggests, it's no longer a suggestion. You're like, okay, well, why don't we say a little prayer for the residential school children? So that's where that is. So, and she does not want to be acknowledged. So that's why she can say grandmother, Vancouver, but that's as far as she wants to go. So we will respect that. Okay, so let us begin in the good and beautiful way. Our elders said, if it doesn't begin with prayer, then it doesn't begin. If it doesn't begin with offering, then it doesn't begin. And if it doesn't begin with spirit, then it doesn't begin. So let's begin in a really good and beautiful way. We begin by offering a little pinch of tobacco and a little help from above. And if you would like to offer with us, that would be good. And then to all my relations, Kitchenana 2, T. Megwitch, thank you. Chi Meg Witch for our breath. Chi Meg Witch for our circle. Chi Meg Witch for our day. Chi Meg Witch for our life. We are grateful for our last breath, and we are hopeful for our next, and we live in that place in between. We come here today. We mean no harm in what we do. We come in a good way. We come to learn to live in accordance with spiritual law. We come here to do a little better than we did yesterday. We come here to be better humans. We don't come here to be perfect. We don't come here to be beautiful. We come here to be a little better. And we come here to share our love and experiences with the rest of the circle. We may come here for many reasons, but the first reason always is life. Not just our life. That would be selfish. We want to be selfless. We want to come here and celebrate everyone in this circle. We want to celebrate those things that bring us life: air, water, fire, earth. We celebrate those who have come before us, our ancestors. And remember, we have a lot more ancestors than just the two-legged. Our ancestors are the first bear and the first beaver, the first fox, wolf, and panther, and otter. We come here and we celebrate their life. They have offered us a beautiful, beautiful life and beautiful, beautiful prayers. They have lived in accordance with spiritual law. And the way we live is what we offer to the next 7 generations, to the next, what we offer back to earth. And they have offered us a beautiful, beautiful life. And to this we say thank you, and we are honored. And we also acknowledge that some of our two-legged ancestors were hurt, wounded, abused, and traumatized, and they passed those along to us. We acknowledge this. We acknowledge the suffering, the abuse, and the trauma. We acknowledge that. We acknowledge this hurt with great sadness and grieving. But we also acknowledge that we cannot stay here, and that we are here to help you, to help you heal. That is the red road, the road of wellness. And that is why we are here. When we heal, that is a celebration of life and love. And we understand during this process, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to sit with the grandmothers if you need to sit with them. It's okay for the men to sit with the grandfathers and to grieve and to mourn. That's okay. That is part of this healing, beautiful healing process. And healing is a process and not an event. We understand this, and along this process, we will come to realize that what they offered us as abuse and trauma was never for us. It was never for us, but it was always for us to heal from. What they did had nothing to do with us. And what we heal from is our offering to the next 7 generations. So let us offer today this beautiful place of healing for us all. And let us realize that beautiful place of love and light. And we don't do this, we do this for the next 7 generations, where we only borrow this earth from our children, and our children are only loaned to us. So we live at the intersection between 2 unseen worlds. This is a great time. We are privileged to be here. is an opportunity to break the cycles and break the chains of drinking and violence and abuse and trauma. We can break those here. We can begin to break those here. And we can support each other as we do. And that's a beautiful thing. And there's a path that the ancestors have offered us. A well-worn spiritual path, but we can only see it. We can only hear it, find it when our intentions are pure. Daily prayers and daily offerings. And then the road is there. We will see the road. It is the red road, the road of wellness, the road of love, the road of all people, the road of life. It is broad and roomy and has a place for you. You and your recovery and your healing. You are welcome here. The road of life. So let us come here and sit together. And we'll listen to the spirits and the ancestors, and it will help guide us to a better future. And on this road, there are teachings out there, natural and spiritual and universal laws. Humility, love, truth, honesty, respect, wisdom, and courage. The 7 sacred laws, the agreements that we have with the universe and the ancestors and Mother Earth and all of those things that guide us. So let us sit with these. Let us make good relations. That's why we are here, to make good relations, both seen and unseen, spiritual and physical. And we understand this is a beautiful place and time to sit together. And the more we sit together, the more we will see and realize the first prayer at the center of the universe. Harmony and balance. That's why we are here. We are here to be the peacemakers. We are here to offer this love and this life to all others, to give life, life, to give prayers, prayers, to give light, light. That's what we are supposed to do. Oh, all right. Okay. Well, good morning again, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Again, we're coming from you live from Germany here. Very exciting. My name is Kanipu Makwa, and Standing Bear, Soto Tribe, Fishing Lake First Nation, Saskatchewan, Canada. And if you're new here, welcome. We loved you, we missed you, and welcome back. Welcome back. Couple of things before we begin in earnest, and this is really important. This is really for the benefit of those who are new to the circle, and really for the benefit who come here on a regular basis. The other day we talked about this person came from Europe, and he said, I love these concepts. I love these theories, and and he was referring to hollow bones, and there was, as Pops would say, my direct elder. I've been with him for 30 years. There was a gentle course correction, as he would say. So hollow bones. It is our direct connection to life. Okay, we understand that there's a life force out there. That life force is for our benefit. That's what gives us life. It not only looks like air, water, fire, earth. That's just the beginning, but it goes to sunrise, sunset. So sunrise, sunset, the seasons, the rain, the clouds, the sky, all these things, they are a beautiful representation of what gives us and offers us life. And what we are supposed to do is to connect to that life. So this is not a theory. This is not a concept. This is none of that. This is a way of life, right? So and this is not like an event either. That's kind of like I feel like I'm in school. No. This is what we're supposed to do. This is how we're supposed to live life. It's like people ask me all the time, what's your purpose? Well, let's live according to spiritual law, and then we will. Let's go from there. Well, like, how do I do it? Like, do I show up? Well, yeah. So when we wake up, so the beginning to that would be the hollow bones. And this is a question for me. We're going to cover a bunch of questions because I'm way behind in my questions. Well, how do we begin to be hollow bones? Well, um, we just did it, and I did it before the circle. This is tobacco, and I offered prayers of gratitude and thank you for my life. That's that spiritual door that opens. The tobacco helps that door open. We have to give something in order for our prayers to be heard. That's living in full circle. So we just don't say thank you, just this and that. It's always about offering. It's always about thank you, and it's always about gratitude. That's the way it begins. When we begin, that's it. If it doesn't begin with that, then it really doesn't begin. And often, it goes sideways, and we wonder why. Well, I came with these really good intentions, but we didn't really offer ourselves, right, with that pure, good, spiritual intention, with the tobacco, with that gratitude. Usually we jump to right. Usually, hold on. Usually we jump to what we need, right? Without offering, oh well, I need this healing, or like I want him, or I want her, or I want that, I want this, and that's like okay, but that we would say done in a good way, in accordance with spiritual law. Gratitude, here, write this down. Gratitude is spiritual law. That's it, and without it. It's really hard to see because without it, it kind of blinds us. We have like the horse blinders on. We become focused on what we want instead of what we need. And so we sit here and say thank you, and we offer, and then the more things that we are grateful for, the more things we find those things to be grateful for. And then after that, gratitude, just a magnet, here, write this down. Gratitude is a magnet for miracles, right? Miracles of healing. Like there's a lot of times where we just focus on the problem, and we're just looking at the problem, and we're looking at the problem, and we're just looking at the problem, and we can't see anything peripheral, right? And so, but again, with gratitude, it just really takes off those blinders, and then we see how much life there is that is being offered to us, right? And that's just a beautiful thing, man. Just like, like here's my experience, right? With gratitude and sitting in a circle, sitting with sunrise, and sitting with my first breath. And it's just like there's so many things. There's so much beauty in this world, right? Like, we have to turn off social media, we have to turn off this, we have to turn off that, and really just focus on those things that are bringing us life. And once we do that, the place of healing, and that's part of our healing process is knowing what to look at to help us heal. So that is hollow bones here. So I love you. So ancestors and elders. So again, this is part of that gratitude. When you caught on to that a couple of days ago, I meant to respond to that. I thought I did, and then this morning I realized I didn't, so I responded this morning. So yes, so this is part of our gratitude and our thank you in the morning. So it's one thing to be grateful, but let's be grateful for those elders and those ancestors that helped bring us here. The prayers of the grandmothers. That is a big thing on the reservation. So we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the prayers of the grandmothers, and that is again the sacred feminine, right? They're so beautiful and so powerful, offering us that life, right? So again, it's the grandmothers that are offering us life, and so I say this all the time. Thank you to Tony Stonehawk. I have been with him for over 30 years. Again, every time I say that, every day I say that, it's like mind blowing. I'm like, God, 30 years. Like where did this time go? It's like, like I was a younger kid. I was just a kid back then. I didn't know what I was doing or where I was going. So, and now it's so grateful. My path is just really beautiful and clear. And, I get to come here every day, and I get to love you. I get to love you with Grandfather Tony's and his grandfather before them, and of course to those elders on the Fishing Lake First Nation. And here's another question. So, when did you get back to Fishing Lake? And back in '03. So So I've been sitting with those elders for quite some time as well. So a debt of gratitude to my father, Robert Casius, and to all those other men and women who love me in a really good and beautiful way. Really showed me the way, powerful way. So we are grateful for that. Okay, circle medicine. Okay, here we go. No one's in front of us. No one's behind us. No one's above us. No one is below us. What that means is that we are all equal again here. Um, Grandmother showed me this one day, and said this is who we are, what we are, and what we are doing. This is not a representation either. This is exactly who we are, right here. Just a simple, beautiful, powerful braid of sweetgrass. You know, again, you know, like you put a little bit stronger, like you take one strand of it, and it breaks pretty easily. So again, there's so many spiritual lessons there, in just this beautiful. And, you know, I love to smell it too. Smell that. Yeah, smell that. Doesn't it smell like life?
Yes.
Live studio out here. It just smells like life. You know, when I'm having a bad day. So this is another question. We're covering a lot of questions today. So what do we do if we're having like a really bad day? So remember those things that bring us life. So you know, like I have bad days too. So I just come back and I just do what the ancestors taught me to do, what Tony taught me to do. That's all I do. It's like my life isn't really that complicated. I just like no. Anyway, on the ones. Okay, all right. Again, I love you. Thank you for your patience. And okay, sacred feminine. Okay, again, we just talked about the sacred feminine. Um, and there was another question. I guess one of you told one of your friends, and they went back to the video and they couldn't find it. So we will go over it again today. Like always, sacred feminine, beautiful and powerful. They are. Um, let's step back a little bit. So we live in a colonial patriarchy world, right? The world that forgets to honor our sacred feminine, right? That means they marginalize. That means they don't listen. That means they're second class. That they're, you know. So it boggles my mind when I think about that. The very people that have given us life, we marginalize. Right? It boggles my mind. So what we do here is we are turning that around and just saying how beautiful and powerful the sacred feminine is, right? Because they have this beautiful womb space, right? And 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 you know, here's a question too, and we covered this the other day. We're going to cover it again. Um, there's a spiritual agreement that we have when we get here as sacred feminine. You offer this prayer. The womb space is a representation of a spiritual prayer to offer life. So offering life, if you had a baby, that's a one-time event, and that's true. But it doesn't end there. It goes on for a lifetime, right? And I'm kind of bordering into grandmother teaching, so I really have to be careful here because I'm not a grandmother. So in general, this beautiful womb space, and so next time you see a woman, just honor that beautiful prayer that they are still giving life, right? Just say thank you. Just say, just thank you. That's all you have to say. Just like I understand it. I recognize that beautiful life, and so once we do that, our spiritual perception changes. It's really that beautiful. It's like, oh my God, wow, that's really beautiful, right? You know. So anyway, thank you for that. Okay, so let's move on to question of the day. Again, I covered a bunch of questions. I'm really behind on my questions, so like the lawyer in me says, please keep your questions, concerns, and comments coming. I do not guarantee that I will get around to all of them, especially when I'm traveling. Sometimes I can do the live. Sometimes I'm busy with other things. But please keep them going. Today's question is. Honesty. And what is that, right? And there was a post, there was a reading, actually, I think it was one of my meditations in the Hollow Bones the last couple of days. What is that? And it was in relationship to our healing, right? Right. To our spiritual healing, mental, emotional, physical healing, right? Honesty is one of the 7 sacred laws. What is it? We have a spiritual agreement. It's a spiritual agreement. It's not only a sacred law, it is an agreement. It's an agreement that, and there's a lot to this. There's really a lot to this, but we're just going to cover like a really small portion of it. So, so we're supposed to live in accordance with spiritual law, right? Honesty is one of those spiritual laws, right? So we are supposed to live in accordance with spiritual law. Is the environment, is the water, is the fire, is the earth, right? So that's easier said than done, right? So okay, so there's healing, so there's trauma, there's abuse in our past. How are these things linked, right? So we live in a world where the Western colonial patriarchal world, it compartmentalizes everything, and you know that's the wrong model, concept, framework to living a good, normal, natural life. When we're separated from each other, you know, then we're talking about, well, our healing's over there, and then the people we love are over there, and then I'm just living my life, and you know, I can't figure out where to be because you know, my mother was religious and she's over there, and then my father's over there, and then you know, just kind of like all these things, like, you know, it's mind-boggling. And here's the thing, you know, and this is just contrast medicine. We do not put any good or bad on it. It is what it is. It is social, spiritual engineering, and it's basically genocide. That's what it is. You know, when we break up the healing and the family and this and that, and that's just part of that genocide. And you know, we live with that. Like, that's the only thing that we know. We think, oh yeah, well, I need to go to the therapist to heal myself. Oh, and then I'm going to go to thing. Yeah, no, it's all part of the same thing. So when we come here on the Red Room, you know, we start hearing the elders talk about this thing called honesty, right? Then we start hearing the thing about this beautiful circle. If it's all related, then it's all related, right? You know, so here's you and here's honesty. Here's you and here's honesty. You're already interwoven and overlapping, right? You're already there. You don't need to go anywhere. This is not like a journey, a scouting, like you need this, you need some Sherpas. No, you just, it's a simple, beautiful recognition that that we've already entered into this beautiful spiritual agreement, and the spiritual agreement is living in accordance with spiritual law. It is one. In fact, the reading is exactly what we're going to talk to today. So, living with and for the environment that supports us. That means giving prayers, love, life. That's what that means. That means sitting with Mother Earth. So when we understand this, like going on a walk, I went for a good walk yesterday, and I just felt really good, right? I went up, I walked through the trees, I did all that stuff, right? So, and there's not one person that I've ever come across that was having a bad day that went out to Mother Earth, walked on with Mother Earth, you know, connected to Mother Earth, came back and said, you know what, I feel just awful. I feel terrible. You know, not one person, right? Because there's a spiritual connection there deep within our spirit that we understand, right? It makes us feel good, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? Because we are aligning ourselves energetically. There's like vibrations out there, sound and energy, and we are aligning ourselves with that. Science is now just catching up to what our ancestors have known since the beginning. Hey, you know, like when I go to the lake, I feel really good. Oh my God, right? You know, but instead we spend all these times in the therapy session talking about stuff that, you know. I think talking is good, you know, but I think really sitting with you know, nature, and really connecting to that, connecting to those things that give us life. I think that's really important. Again, water gives us life. I think praying with and for the water, that's a really good thing, right? Right. And Dr. Emoto back in the 70s, he had and again, this is what they figured out. You know what? When you pray with the water changes. That's what he's saying. That's for us. When you turn the light switch on, the light comes on. That's what it's designed to be, right? So take that. Just take. So we take this one little bit. Okay, we are full of water, right? We are like 70 or 80% water, 85% water. Imagine if we start talking to ourselves about ourselves in a really beautiful, loving way. The crystals in our bodies, they change, and what they do is that they heal, right? That's the beautiful thing, right? And again, that's where gratitude steps in. It is so beautiful and so powerful and so simple, and yet so people look beyond that. Like some really just let's start somewhere, and if we're going to start somewhere, let's start there, and that's learning how to be honest right there. That's it right there. Right. Let's just start there. Like if our bodies are full of water, let's celebrate the water within us. Right. It's just really that simple. I can go on and on all day. And I think oh my God, we're running really behind. Okay, it's 42. Okay. Okay, so we're going to move right along here. Please keep your questions and comments coming. Okay, what we're going to do here is we go over. I don't know where the time goes. So here it is. So we go over daily medicine written by me, and also Whispers from the Hollow Bone. If you'd like to get your copy, that would be good. And basically what we do here is, if you're new here, just little passages and little reading. And so what we're going to do is we're going to read them a couple times, develop a general impression. This is a Pops-ism. When I first started doing this years ago, Pops is like, well, like where are we going to start? Because I came up with this concept of doing the morning live, and so and Pop said, like where are we going to start? And I'm like, I don't know, Pops. I don't know. So, and then he suggested, well, this general impression. And so we've been doing it ever since. And so this is not about right or wrong, good or bad. We're not bad people becoming good just because things have happened to us. We often feel like, oh my God, I'm terrible. I'm a bad person, blah, 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 blah. Because I feel some sort of way, then I'm a bad person, and, I feel less than, and I shouldn't be involved. And, we exit the very thing, the very circle that gives us life, right? So we will read this a couple of times, develop a general impression. That's just a starting point. That is just visualize the sunset, sunrise, just like that, just like that new light coming in, right? Okay. All right. Whispers from the Hollow Bone, October 13th. Imagination is a forgotten education because it teaches us endless possibilities. Without it, it is only indoctrination. Imagination is a forgotten education. That's an interesting word right there, because it teaches us endless possibilities. Right? How beautiful is that? Without it, it is only indoctrination. Okay. Spirituality cannot be indoctrinated, right? This is, for me, my impression is it's a reminder to be beautiful. It is a way to figure out how to heal, how to love, how to live a good life, right? And it's really that there's a lot of contrast medicine. It's not a lot of it. It is contrast medicine, right? Because it tells us indoctrination, right? Indoctrination is 1 + 1 = 2. That's indoctrination, and that's all you need to know, right? Like even their religious bodies, you say our prayers, right? not connecting to the world that gives us life, but say our prayers. You see, so they are indoctrinating. So they are indoctrinating us to their prayers, right? Not our own personal prayers, not our own personal relationship with those things that give us life, right? This is not good or bad. That's just contrast medicine. That's beyond that. I don't have an opinion because I don't need one, right? You know, more prayers, less opinion there. That's a really good situation to do that in. So, okay, imagination, life-giving, life-giving, life-altering, healing, life-changing, right? We are creators of our own life, right? Because it sets us, indoctrination sets us apart from life. Imagination adds life to life, right? So our spiritual education as Indigenous children, the story time, right? Story time is really, really beautiful. It's not entertainment. It is education. I go over this all the time because when we talk about grandmother turtle, grandmother earth, grandfather bear, then it puts us a beautiful, powerful human spin on it. So it becomes that thing to something beautiful that we can relate to. That is the direct use of imagination. So when we say grandmother turtle, it's like, oh, grandmother turtle. Oh yeah, grandmother. So there's a story that I tell about three little boys and the birds that sing in the morning. There's a lot of species that sing in the morning, but there's a direct relation to what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're singing in our life. And so it's not just over there, it's over here, and they remind us that everything is connected, right? Everything is connected, but without imagination, we can't see beyond it. And without it, that's what that world takes away from us. It takes away our imagination, right? Because it helps them compartmentalize. You can, okay, you're over there. Okay, you're over there. Okay, the Muslims are over there. The red people have to stay over there. The Jewish people, man, they got to stay over there. It's just like that's just the way it is, right? You can't. No. But the imagination is, here's the thing. Brothers and sisters, we say it all the time, right? We don't say it to look cool, act cool, sound good, look good, anything like that. We do it because it's spiritual law, right? But we're so dependent on separation, and that you can write down. That's the sickness. What imagination does, it says, oh, we are all brothers and sisters, right? When we think that, we create that, we understand that, and then we start living that way, right? So we start looking past the skin color, the hair color, the mistakes of the ancestors. We look past all that, right? And then we come to this beautiful place where, wow, you know what? They're really beautiful, powerful people, right? That's wow. And they are part of us. That's beautiful. They bring in a part of us that we never saw ourselves, right? Just like nations and tribes, we all carry beautiful medicine that helps the whole, right? When we heal individually, we help the whole. That's the imagination process. When we're wounded, we think we're all alone, but actually when we offer our wounding, we're offering our wounding to the circle, which helps us all, right? Which not only helps us the next seven generations, right? When we heal ourselves, we heal the ancestors. When we heal ourselves, we heal the next 7 generations because we are no longer, giving our wounds to them, right? It's basically like a cup, right? Our life is a cup, and what we do and what we say and our healing is part of that cup. So the cup that we were given is here, and then we say, well, there's some things in here that I just don't want to deal with. So you know what? I'm just going to give that to the next 7 generations. That is intergenerational. That's the definition of intergenerational trauma, right? So back to imagination. What is the link to that to imagination, right? Let's go back to the question, right? Honesty. How is honesty linked with imagination? I want you to think about that. And you know what? Let's start thinking about our takeaways because we got to. This is really, really important stuff, right? This is like, how is our honesty and imagination linked, right? Because often we think, like, when I first got here, Pops asked me this question. I'm like, I don't know. Pops, I don't know. I don't know. Let's just go up and sweat, right? A deep relationship with the water. We just talked about it, right? There's a deep relationship with the fire. We all have it. We all know it. That's why it feels good to be around your fire because it relates to us. It is part of our spiritual family. It's part of the circle that heals us, right? So we enter into that agreement of those things that heal us, right? But without it, it's just a thing. It is not a relative. So it switches from a thing to a relative, and then we're like, oh my God, right? Okay, let's go back to going walking in the woods. Like my walk yesterday was really good, right? And like I thought, oh, this is really good, right? Walking by the trees and everything felt really good, right? Because it's in accordance with spiritual natural law, right? And then that's just the beginning, and then we enter into a personal relationship with the trees. Who here remembers my just give me a little thumbs up, my tree story. All right, let's see what time it is. Let's see what time it is here. Okay. So my tree story is just real shortly. It's there's a friend of mine that came from a relative from Onion Lake, Saskatchewan. He's a Cree brother. Came down. I was living in Miami at the time, so I would host all these people coming and going. They would come and have ceremonies and share. And they would put on workshops, blah blah blah. And so his medicine was connecting all the hearts, right? It was really, really beautiful. I got to sit with him and say, wow, that's really beautiful, right? Yeah. And so he came and left. And what I do in the morning was like if I don't quite understand something, Pop says always just sit with it. Just sit with it. Just like, okay. So I was like, well, that sounds really cool and it sounds really this and it sounds really spiritual, but like what are we really doing, right? So so I made my offerings, and there's this beautiful live oak in Miami, right next to my my meditation area. And so I remember looking at this. I don't see your heart. You're alive. You're giving me breath. I'm giving thank you, but I don't see your heart. So that day I started to give an offering. I said, I want to see, or I want to know where your heart is, right? Prayer is about patience and preparation, and understanding that in and of itself is a beautiful flow, right? So for 6 weeks, every morning, as a part of my morning meditation, I went up to that tree and I got a little pinch of tobacco, and I said, where is your heart? I made the offering directly to the tree. Where is your heart, right? And then one morning, about 6 weeks into it, I was walking up to it, right? I was walking up to it, and I heard it. I heard it like I just heard that truck go by, and it said, "I am all heart." And I said, "What?" I am all heart all the time. And again, it was one of those beautiful experiences that brought tears to my eyes. Like, how could this tree be all heart all the time? So I went up to the tree, went up to the trunk of the tree, and I touched it like that. And I said, that is part of my heart. I'm like, whoa. And, then I went down to like the where it goes into the roots and the tree meat. And I said, that is also part of my heart. I said, whoa. And then I went up to the first branch and out on the first branch, and I touched it. I said, that is also part of my heart. And the tree goes, I am all heart all the time. Can you be all heart all the time? Right? That's part of the tree. Can you do that? Right? Now, I couldn't do that without using imagination. Imagination is the key to understanding our world and our healing. Without it, it's going to be very, very difficult. I see people trip up all the time because they're not using, because they're stuck in this little box, in this little world that says I can only do my healing here and there, and just like, like I have to go to therapy, I have to do all this, which is fine. That's like okay, right? And if that's what you do, then that's okay, right? Just keep do anything for your healing, including that. So right. Imagination is a forgotten education. Okay, so what does that mean? That means it's a process, right? It's not an event. So again, let's go back to that place of bits and pieces, right? Bits and pieces. Oh, okay. So little bits of understanding happening at once. Rarely is it like the bush burning, the skies opening, the harps playing, like all this stuff. And rarely is it. I've seen it done. I've seen it, but usually the the garden variety is really bits and pieces. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, that's cool. And then it just makes sense, and then you're available to make other things that make sense. So, okay, so it's a forgotten education. So basically, we're introducing another ceremony, another part of the ceremony, right? We need education in spiritual realms, and we can't do it. What time is it? Oh, I can't do it. We need education in spiritual realms, and we cannot do that without imagination. That's what we're saying here. The bottom line is that's what we're saying, right? Right. So the Great Spirit, hollow bones, everything we've done today, everything we talked about today is about imagination. There's a thread in there that threads through it all. There's things that give us life, right? That's what we're talking about. How many of us felt better when we just told that story? Did you feel better about the tree story? It's like, oh my God, it's like, wow. So it went from a thing to now being a beautiful thing, right? That's to this place of healing, right? So it went from a thing to like it's like a tree. Just, when I first got here, I'd be like, it's just a tree. Imagination opens up that door to so many other things. And what it really does, it opens up life for myself. Right? So it ceases to become a thing. Now it is something beautiful. And behind every beautiful thing we find is a little bit of ourselves. Right? If we are all related, so pieces come back to us a greater understanding. If I can listen to the tree, that means I listen to myself a little bit more. Right? If I hear the tree, then I hear myself a little. If I learn to listen to the tree, then I learn to listen to myself a little bit more. But we can't do it. I'm running out of time. I can't do it without imagination, right? And imagination doesn't come from a book. This is an experiential thing, right? We have to sit there. We again, we're back in this place where we got to put some skin in the game. We just can't show up and be like, okay, I'm going to use my imagination. No, again, there's a process here. We make that offering. We understand it is. We enter into a spiritual agreement, right? And the larger spiritual agreement is what? Natural law, right? The 7 natural laws. Humility, natural law, right? Humility, that's a natural law. Okay, so, okay. running out of time. So I'm not sure if I even covered this. For sure I covered the whole reading. So, okay. So humility, right? Humility and the wolf. Okay. There's some imagination going on there, right? Right. So the wolf teaches us, right? And one of the things the wolf teaches us is that beautiful place of imagination is how, and it's that opens that door to the recognition that we are what? Part of a circle. I think when he said it, part of a circle, part of a tribe, part of life, part of love, part of connecting, part of that gentleness, right? Those of you who are tough on yourself don't understand this yet, right? Right. I see it all now. It's like, people just beat themselves up for no reason, right? I said, look, man, and I recognize that because I did that too. If I wasn't perfect, like I wanted to be a perfectionist. That's what I wanted to be, right? Other than invisible, I wanted to be a perfectionist, right? Imagine that. Imagine that. I was, coming from trauma, I wanted to be invisible. But if I was invisible, then I wanted to be perfect, and so that's how we know that there's a level of healing that needs to happen, right? That's like that's a spiritual watermark to say, look, like, hey, look, there's some healing, like this perfection. It doesn't work with natural law. Perfectionism doesn't work with natural law. It just doesn't, right? That's why we said in the beginning of that sets the tone for what we do, our intentions, and our intentions are for using our imagination. So that's why we do what we do, right? So, okay, because it teaches us, again, we, us, and our, these are power words, right? English is a really bad language, like the colonial languages, they're just really awful and really bad because it doesn't connect us to these things. It keeps us separated from, keeps things instead of relationships, right? It tears down relationships and it builds up relationships, right? That's the difference. But but like a broken clock, it's right twice a day. We, us, and ours. So when it jumps on that, we use that as a springboard, a launching pad in order for us to heal. That's what we do. So it's never wholesale rejection, right? There's always something good in there, right? And so, back when I was having a conversation with Tony, I said, Tony, there's nothing good about, there's nothing good about this, there's nothing good about that, there's nothing good about the church, there's nothing good about recovery, there's nothing good about AA, it's a Bible-based thing, and blah, blah, blah. I got really militant for a second, right? Thought I knew something, right? Said, AA is based off the Bible and the 12 apostles, and, they killed my people, they killed you, they killed me, and I said, look, he said, look, were you able to begin telling your truth in AA? And I go, yeah. The truth is part of the 7 sacred laws. So did AA help you? But as much hate as I had in my heart for people of the Bible, the Christians and everything, he was right. And I said, yes. Right. So we can't wholesale everything, right? And again, there's a little thread of imagination that we use to get there. That's why I said that. And that thread is a life-giving thread. Because you know what? It made my heart open to love the Christians again, to love the Catholics again, despite what their ancestors did, despite what they're still doing, right? And there's a place in my heart that loves them, that will always love them, because if you're murdering people, then you really need a place for love. Then you really don't understand natural law. And maybe the thread that's going through them, coming from me, is that life-giving source to understand that, hey, look, that Bible is just not the way, man. It's just not the way. Christianity, the one that kills, the one that murders, that's just not the way, man. And my job here is to give life. And if I'm not praying for my enemies, then I'm not giving life. And without imagination, I can't even get there. We can't even, that conversation is not even on the table at that point, right? But with imagination says, you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just give this a shot, right? And so we sling it out there, and then here we are. Okay, I've really run over at this point, so I love you. I'm not got nothing else to say. All right. So let's close your eyes. So what is your takeaway? So what is your takeaway today, right? What are you? So that means like when we leave here, because anybody can be spiritual here. How are we going to change out there, right? That's the takeaway. And again, anybody can be spiritual here, but when we take it out to the four winds, that's where that's where the change really happens, right? So what is your takeaway? And I'm going to ask the live studio audience, what's your takeaway?
The thing about imagination.
The thing about imagination.
Yeah, to focus on good images.
Good images. I love it. Okay, good. Okay, so let's close your eyes. Focus on that beautiful place. Just to like imagine yourself. So this is what we talked about, and I put it in my notes, and we didn't get to it. So the other day, and there was a lot of positive feedback too. What we did the other day, I think it was last week, that when I feel, and I don't do it as much today as I did before, but like I was even scared to walk in like a supermarket. I was just like so full of fear and full of this. And then Grandfather Tony said, well, and we had this imagination talk. That's why I'm bringing it up. And so he said, imagine like 1,000 buffalo walking with you. And I'm like, can you imagine that? I go, yeah, well, just walk into that restaurant or like wherever with 1,000 buffalo. And now it's more, it's more bears because I'm a bear. So now walking in place, I'm imagine like 1,000 bears with me. Right? And I'm like, yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of positive feedback with there, and it's relevant here. So anyway, close your eyes. Think about something beautiful. Think about how beautiful you are. How about that? Think about how beautiful you are. How beautiful this woman has become. How beautiful. How beautiful you have become. Imagine all these beautiful things. Imagine all these beautiful things that you are. Those beautiful things that are out there that you are a part of. Right? Imagine that. I want you to imagine that. Close your eyes and we'll finish up. Ready? All right. The final word is, every beautiful elder ends it with this. It said, this ceremony may end, but the ceremony in you does not end. So let's take what we lived here, loved here, and learned here, and listened to here, and take it out to the four winds. That means go beyond hitting that share button. Anybody can hit that share button. What it's really doing is sharing it from here out there. That's the real difference. We have, when you do that, we change the world. How about that for imagination? We change the world with every kind word, every kind expression that we offer. We change the world. And that's a beautiful thing. My name is Kaneepuwit Makwa. And if no one said that they love you today, I love you very much. Let's have a great day. Bye-bye. Wow.